You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. News 25 is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law, voted best of Pahrump for 4 years. Give them a call, 775-727-9900. News 25 is also brought to you by Gunny's Air Conditioning and Heating. New, service, and repair. Call Gunny's, 775-727-6800.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News 25. I'm Unat Gentry. Thanks for joining us on A's Country Radio, and we're also streaming at KPVM.TV. We're also on your Roku devices. It is Thursday, June 19th. Happy Juneteenth and freedom for all Americans. And remember that today is a federal holiday. In our top story, reports are coming out today that President Trump has privately approved the use of the U.S. military against Iran after their supreme leader refused to unconditionally surrender. News 25 has this story.
In a major escalation of tensions with Iran, President Donald J. Trump has privately approved U.S. military action. The decision follows a heated standoff between Washington and Tehran, in which President Trump demanded Iran's complete and unconditional surrender, a demand the Iranian government has publicly rejected. In a defiant response, Iranian leadership declared it will not surrender, warning that any U.S. military strike would result in what they described as irreparable damage to American interests across the region. President Trump has made it clear that Iran must not be allowed to develop or possess nuclear weapons.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Right. That's it. I'm not looking long-term, short-term. And I've been saying that for 20 years.
His stance comes amid growing international concern over Iran's expanding nuclear program. Sources state that Iran has now accumulated over 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% purity, a level that is considered close to weapons grade, which is around 90%. This amount far exceeds what is needed for any civilian energy purposes. The International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, has issued several warnings expressing serious concern about Iran's enrichment levels and noting that no other non-nuclear weapons state is enriching uranium to this degree. While details of the planned operation remain classified, the Pentagon is reportedly evaluating the deployment of a B-2 Spirit stealth bomber outfitted with the GBU-57AB Massive Ordnance Penetrator, or MOP, a 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb. The weapon is designed to obliterate deeply fortified underground facilities, such as those suspected to be housing advanced nuclear infrastructure. The GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator is one of the most formidable non-nuclear weapons in the U.S. arsenal. Weighing 30,000 pounds, it can punch through up to 200 feet of reinforced concrete or 130 feet of solid rock before detonation. Its purpose is to destroy deeply buried targets that conventional weapons cannot reach. The B-2 Spirit, a stealth bomber designed to evade radar and deliver high-value payloads with precision, is currently the only aircraft capable of carrying the MOP. Each MOP contains over 5,000 pounds of explosives capable of collapsing tunnels, hardened bunkers, or underground facilities believed to be used for nuclear development.
And recently reported information states that Iran has submitted a counterproposal to the U.S. agreeing to limit their uranium enrichment to nearly 4% if Israel dismantles its entire nuclear arsenal. News 25 will continue to update the public with these developments as more information becomes available. And in more military news, our News 25 Las Vegas correspondent Maria Centers joins us now with a look at recent fortifications by Task Force Sapper Marines.
U.S. Marines assigned to Task Force Sapper supporting Joint Task Force Southern Border just completed operations of general engineering barrier reinforcements along the Mexican and U.S.-American southern border barrier. The military mission began on January 6th and recently wrapped up on June 11th. Task Force Sapper is comprised of 500 Marines and sailors from one Marine Expeditionary Force. Now let's hear from our servicemen and women who have been assigned with securing our southern territory.
Task Force Sapper's primary mission is conduct general engineering And this particular stage of the mission, it's barrier reinforcement. There's an existing barrier, both a primary and a secondary barrier here on the Mexican-American border in San Diego. So there's roughly about 15 to 18 miles of this barrier, and we are conducting reinforcement with concertina wire, an obstacle that delays and disrupts any illegal activity and crossing.
Under the direction of the U.S. Northcom, Joint Task Force Southern Border coordinates efforts to seal the border and deter illegal acts, while being responsible for full-scale, agile, and all-domain operations.
We've been placing concertina wire by welding the engineer stakes, the green E stakes, welding them onto the barrier, and then tying in the concertina wire on top of that. So before we got out here to place a secondary obstacle, illegal aliens were crossing the barrier by cutting segments at the bottom, as well as crossing over the top of it. The crossings over the top, as well as the crossings at the bottom, influenced the design of the barrier and showed us the need for some sort of obstacle towards the ground, as well as something closer to the top, but not something so close that they'd be able to easily maneuver over it.
Agents detained 8,725 migrants illegally crossing the southern border last month, marking a 93% dip from May 2024, when 117,905 were detected, according to internal data obtained by the New York Post.
The equipment that we're using, welding equipment, is not unfamiliar for most of our Marines who have the specialty. However, we don't have the depth of welders in the Marine Corps, frankly, that is required out here. So what we have done is gathered Marines who have experience from welding, Marines who have it as a specialty, and we have provided them OJT, on-the-job training, and we've provided them opportunities to learn how to weld.
U.S. Border Czar Tim Homan confirmed Tuesday that southern border numbers are at a record low.
What is new and unique here is that we are now applying it above the deck onto a structure that already exists versus on the ground using E-stakes and pounding them in. And so this is a permanent application of wire to the barrier. We cannot prevent all crossings with our obstacle. It has to be paired with the activities and mission that the Army is doing with their monitoring, detecting, and deterring of crossings, and the U.S. Border Patrol also doing the same thing.
Illegal southern border crossings have plummeted to a near halt since the start of U.S. President Donald J. Trump's second term. Reporting from Las Vegas and throwing it back to our studios in Pahrump, I'm Maria Centers for News 25.
News 25 will be right back with much more local news.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on.
Welcome back to News 25. Time now for our sports report with Mikey Ruhan, who's hitting a home run for us right now.
Time now for your News 25 look at sports and streaming at KPVM.TV and now on Roku devices. The Las Vegas Aviators, who are on a
9-game winning streak,
are going for 10-11 and a doubleheader today against the Sugarland Space Cowboys. I'll have those scores for you on tomorrow's sports. The Las Vegas Aviators announced today that Jack Perkins was named the Pacific Coast League Pitcher of the Week for the second consecutive week, June 2nd through the 8th and June 9th through the 15th. The full roster for current and former Raiders has been announced for the upcoming Battle for Vegas charity softball game. Captain Brock Bowers for Silver and Black will be joined by teammates Jack Betch, A.J. Cole, Daniel Carlson, Thayer Munford Jr., Eric Stokes, Aidan O'Connell, Jeremy Chin, and Sincere McCormick. Also on the team is former Raiders tight end Darren Waller. Bowers and company will face a team of Golden Knights captained by Jack Eichel. Eichel's team roster will be announced soon. The Battle for Vegas is scheduled for 8 p.m. Saturday, July 12th at Las Vegas Ballpark. The Home Run Derby, sponsored by the Athletics, starts at 7 p.m. The WNBA All-Star voting is now live. You can vote daily until June 28th on WNBA.com or on the WNBA app. And that's your look at sports on News 25.
All right, thanks so much, Mikey. And in today's health news, have you ever noticed that when it's really hot outside, you sometimes don't feel as hungry? Well, there's actually a reason for that.
Today's health report is brought to you by Desert View Hospital. When you or a loved one needs medical attention, Desert View Hospital is ready to help. We've been providing friendly and compassionate care to our neighbors since 2006, including emergency services available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Visit desertviewhospital.com to learn more. With limited exceptions, physicians are not employees or agents of this hospital.
We're not as hungry because our body doesn't want to get overheated. So we end up eating less, or we eat less calories, so we don't produce as much of that internal heat.
Beth Cerrone says the opposite happens in the winter when we are cold and our bodies crave more food to stay warm. But that is not the only reason our appetites change with the seasons. In the summer, people are usually more active, so they may not be as hungry. They may also be more body conscious and opt to eat foods with less calories like fruits and vegetables. Another factor could be dehydration. Cerrone explains that when you are dehydrated, your gut tends to slow down and you do not digest food as well. And that in turn can also make you feel nauseous.
The other thing to remember is a lot of times when we're dehydrated, our sense of thirst is stunted anyway. So if all of a sudden you're really, really thirsty, you're probably very dehydrated. So drinking throughout the day is going to be important.
Well, tomorrow is the official first day of summer and temperatures are ramping up out there. So Valley Electric Association is celebrating by sharing some summer efficiency energy tips to help you keep your use down.
This segment of News 25 is brought to you by Valley Electric and its family of companies focused on serving our members. We're better together.
In today's world, energy efficiency isn't just a buzzword, it's a critical step towards sustainability and saving money. Let's explore some simple yet effective ways to make sure our homes are more energy efficient. First, turn off light switches when not in use. It's a small habit that can make a big difference in reducing energy consumption. Along with turning off switches, you should also unplug unused appliances or devices. These appliances can draw power even when not used. Addressing any leaks leaky faucets can also help reduce energy consumption, especially if it's a hot water leak. Similarly, ensure your well is in good working condition and there is no leaks in your water lines. Not only can leaks waste gallons of water, but they can also lead to a large unnecessary energy usage due to pump excessive cycling. Leaky doors and windows can also let precious heat escape during winter and cool air in the summer. Using weather stripping and caulking is a simple fix that can also improve your home's energy efficiency and won't break the bank. During the hot summer months, it's recommended to set your HVAC unit to at least 78 degrees to save energy. Wrapping your water heater is another step towards energy efficiency. Insulating it helps maintain water temperature, reducing the workload on your water heater, and reducing its energy consumption in the process. By implementing these simple strategies, from turning off switches to addressing leaks and optimizing heating, we can all play a part in conserving energy and building a more sustainable future for generations to come.
Stay tuned. After this break, tech tips and what this summer forecast is shaping up to be after News 25 returns.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. News 25 is brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500.
Welcome back. Well, Josh Osborne with Great Computer Deals here in Pahrump is here with this week's tech tip.
Hey guys, Josh Osborne here with Pahrump's own Great Computer Deals. It's time for another quick tutorial. Today's topic is part 2 of words that our customers use that are unfortunately not correct. Today's word is crash. A lot of times people come in and they say, my computer has crashed. And what they're probably referring to is something they've seen in an old movie that involves a computer where the physical hard drive shattered. And basically what that means is back years ago, not so much anymore, but there was a time when hard drives consisted of an actual silver spinning platter that moved like a record player or a CD player, and that drive would spin thousands of times a minute, and after years and years of that wear and tear, sometimes they would actually physically break apart. They would shatter or crash. But what's actually happening when someone comes in and they say that word, that's not the case. What has happened is usually a couple different things. Number one, their computer didn't crash. It's bogged down with so much junk. A lot of people have 2 or 3 antiviruses all running at the same time, which is a terrible idea. Or oftentimes they'll have so many different junkware programs running in the background that it's bogging down their computer and not letting it work correctly. It's not a crash, it's just you, unfortunately, not using a lot of wisdom and common sense and just putting way too much stuff on your computer that is slowing it down. Number 2, another reason we see is they do actually have one of those old-fashioned hard drives that has the spinning moving parts, but it hasn't shattered like they see in the movies. It is basically slowing down because those drives are typically 5,400 RPM drives or 7,200 RPM drives. That means every minute that computer is on, it's spinning potentially 7,200 times, and as you can imagine, year after year of that kind of wear and tear, it causes that drive to break down and it slows down. It doesn't crash and shatter, hardly ever, but it causes it to slow down. It becomes basically unusable. And sometimes those computers have a hard time even booting up to that drive. So oftentimes they'll call it a crash. The third time is our friends with Microsoft Windows. What they like to do oftentimes is release updates or patches or fixes that are supposed to improve this operating system called Windows. And oftentimes it does the exact opposite. It screws things up. They decide to switch out a driver, and all of a sudden your graphics card doesn't work anymore because the driver we gave it has been taken out, and the one that Microsoft says is better has been switched in, and they cause that computer to blue screen when it turns on, and a lot of people see that and assume it's a crash. Again, it's not. So when you bring your computer into us, we're gonna figure out which one of those 3 it is, and every single time we're gonna be able to fix that issue for you guys. So come on in, explain why your computer crashed. We'll figure it out, we'll fix it, we'll get you guys back up and running. We appreciate your support and we appreciate you guys watching these videos. Got lots more to come. Make sure to stay tuned for our next quick tutorial.
News 25 WeatherCam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Let's take a last look at spring through our Lerner and Rowe WeatherCam at these beautiful wild horses enjoying the spring pre-summer day in the Calvada Eye here in Pahrump. A closer look at our summer forecast after this break.
Weather is sponsored by the Nevada Dairy Farmers and the Dairy Council of Nevada, sharing the love of all things dairy. Celebrate the best moments with milk. Milk the moment. And the weather is also brought to you by the Ponderosa Dairy, Nevada's largest dairy, fresh from our farm to your table.
Good evening, Nevada. My name is Rory Rosso, coming to you from the Channel 25 Weather Studios and taking a look at Nevada right now. Up in northern Nevada, Fernley is at 93 degrees. Fallon is at 96. Carson City is in the beautiful 80s at 89 degrees. Tonopah and Goldfield are both sitting at 94. Beatty's at 103, Amargosa's at 108, Las Vegas 1 degree lower at 107, and Death Valley's at 120 today. But here in the beautiful Paradise Pahrump, it is the high at 104 degrees. The sunny skies today with winds at south at 18 miles per hour, humidity 8%, and the sun rose this morning at 5:26 and is setting tonight at 8:04 p.m. The humidity rises up to 15%, and the wind continues to blow into the night at southeast at 17 miles per hour. The low tonight is going to be 75 degrees. let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. We are seeing some wind tomorrow at 101 degrees. The wind is going to be 21 miles per hour, and the wind continues into the weekend at 20 miles per hour on Saturday, but the temperatures do drop into the 90s and 93, all the way down to 90 on Sunday, 94 on Monday, 96 on Tuesday, and then back up into the triple digits on Wednesday at 100 degrees, and then 103 next Thursday. So like I always say, make sure to stay hydrated and don't blow away. Pahrump, back to the desk. Here's UNET.
Thanks so much, Rory. Looking forward to that temperature dip as we go into summer. And as we close tonight, we'd like to say a special happy birthday to News 25's own Samantha Roberts. And if you're not celebrating with Sam out there, remember to celebrate Juneteenth with all of the many festivities going on around Southern Nevada on this federal holiday, such as the Juneteenth Faith Freedom Festival. Well, that does it for this edition of News 25. I'm UNET Gentry, and from all of us here at KPVM and A's Country Radio, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the air next newscast. Happy Juneteenth.